First book I've read in 6 years. And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Finished it in 6 hours. Who else loves this book? Hello guys and welcome to I Love Reading, a channel about interesting book-related subreddit topics. If you love our content, please press the like button, leave a comment and lastly, if you're new here, subscribe to our channel. Now let's get started. Seriously, this book was so gripping. I could not put it down. I was worried that it would be a struggle after not reading for so long, but she made it so easy to just glide right through. I tried so hard throughout it to figure out who it was, and I never once came close. She is a pure master of mystery and suspense. I can't be the only one who loves this book. I know she's pretty popular. Did you all figure out who it was while you were reading it? Or did you struggle along like me? Yeah, that's a pretty awesome book. If you like that style, try Murder on the Orient Express. Read it almost 60 years ago. Sometimes it is called 10 Little Indians, and I first learned what a red herring was. She was a wonderful author. I read this in school when I was 11. But the teacher put a signed sticker on all our books at the end before the reveal. So we couldn't cheat unless we unstuck or ripped the sticker. Then we discussed it in class, and everyone gave their hypothesis as to who done it. We went home with the permission to break the seal and finish the book. Easily one of my favorite moments in school. And it's an awesome book. I first saw the BBC miniseries, then later read the book and play. During the miniseries I figured out how the culprit escaped suspicion. But I got their identity wrong. I thought it was the cook, Mrs. Rogers. Incidentally, when Christie adapted the book into a play she thought audiences wouldn't like the original ending, so she changed it. Most movie adaptations use the play's ending, but the BBC miniseries uses the book's ending. Honestly, I like book's ending more. Definitely my favorite book from Christie, and I did struggle like you did. I did not expect the ending at all and was still very impressed by how dark and smart it is. If you continue down the Agatha Christie rabbit hole, you'll discover so many classics. And Then There Were None is amazing and was my first introduction to her works. That was my first Agatha Christie book, and I still love it. Glad you discovered it. I really recommend reading her entire catalog, they are consistently good. Christie gets me every time. I love that you can always go back and see that she gave you clues you could have figured it out, but I almost never do. I'm sure others have recommended it, but try The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. It's one of my favorites. Watched the movie a long time ago. Great read. Her Detective Poirot series is fantastic and worth a read, and I highly recommend the TV series with David Suchet as Inspector Poirot. He's a perfect fit. When I first saw And Then There Were None, I was completely taken by surprise at the big reveal. Her writing is always masterful, and her whodunits are great too. If you're looking for other good murder mystery recs, I also recommend the Brother Cadfael series by Ellis Peters that follows a monk from the 1100s who solves murders and mysteries that happen about the English countryside. That's one of my favorite books. I definitely had no clue who was the real mastermind until the very end. It was done so well I still get chills when rereading it. I will definitely be rereading it. I'm one of those weirdos who writes notes while reading a story, how I felt, what I thought, etc., so it'll be really cool to go back a few months from now and see how drastically wrong I was. Probably this comment will be buried. But, just in case, I highly recommend her book of short stories called Witness for the Prosecution. Nuggets of Genius. I found the first edition of this book at a Turkish second-hand bookstore and bought it for $5. It is one of my most cherished books in my library. And the name of the first edition is not And There Were None, but the controversial 10 Little Niggers. It was changed with the following printings. I remember reading it in 8th grade for English class. It was the first book I actually could not put down and finished it much sooner than we were supposed to. Wow, I had the same experience and was just about to comment. This book is what really kick-started reading for me. I also read it in 8th grade English class. Or maybe it was 7th grade, either way, glad I did. Absolutely love it. My favorite Agatha Christie book and one of my favorite books of all time. Pro tip. The joy of rereading her novels is knowing the ending and discovering clues she drops along the way. I am not much of a bookworm, but my girl really loves books. So I read books just to understand her better and take an interest in her activities. The other day she was talking about this book. I could see her eyes twinkle and her face just brightened up. Her voice hit this high pitch which I usually hear when she talks about something she really loves. At that instant I knew I had to read this book. The book was beautiful, I loved every page, every paragraph and every word. Although I'm not sure I'm being unbiased in my judgment, as all I could see as I read this book was her excited and happy face. Now Agatha Christie's And Then They Were None has become my all-time favorite. Thank you for bringing this beautiful memory to my mind. Oh yeah, I loved that one. Read it last summer. I had suspicions leaning in the right direction towards the middle, but after you know what happened, they were completely dismissed. The way everything fit together was so intriguing and my heart was physically pounding when I read it. I wish I could write something that clever one day. Also, if you're interested, the BBC did a mini-series adaptation of it that's really well done. It was a beautiful sunny day outside one Sunday when I decided to start it. It ended up being my entire Sunday, beautiful weather, things to do and, inside with a book till dinner. Yeet. So freaking good. It's been a while now since I've read it, but I remember figuring it out because. But that didn't ruin the ending at all because there's more to it. Agatha Christie for life. I read Murder on the Orient Express. I knew I was going to be on bed rest and picked it, figuring I probably wouldn't be able to put it down. I loved the first 98% of the book. I felt like the ending was rushed. Like she was only allowed to write 2 more pages and said, crap, I guess this is how it will end. I'm guessing I'm the only one that felt this way. I would be very interested in trying another Christie book. Did you find this one to have a non-letdown ending? No spoilers please. I love that book. It's got to be one of my favorites. Some of my recent Agatha Christie reads that I've loved are Remember Death and Endless Night. After the Funeral has a spooky vibe and I also really liked Clocks. Edit. Listed 2 different titles for the same book. Oops. I was an exchange student from the US to Germany years ago and picked this up as we left for Italy. We were driving through Europe and I barely looked up because I couldn't put this book down. It was amazing. I'm sure I missed so much on the drive, but I couldn't help myself. When Agatha Christie got it right, it was perfect. I loved this book. And most of her other standalones, while hating everything about Poirot and Parker Pyne. Miss Marple was scarily close to my godmother, which made her a living character for me, but give me Tommy and Tuppence any day. Yes. Same here. Me and my friend were supposed to read it together 1 chapter at a time. One I started I could not put it down. I had to read it. By morning I finished reading the book. Also, had there not been an epilogue I don't think I would have been able to figure out. Can I piggyback and ask a question regarding Agatha Christie? I just went to put this ebook on hold through my library app. And I noticed other books of hers, Murder on the Orient Express for example, is labeled as number 9 in series. Do I have to read them in order? Or can they be read as standalone novels? You don't have to read them in order, but it helps. Each of the detective sleuths like Poirot and Marple have little tidbits of backstory that appear in the novels, so it helps to read them in order. For example, Poirot has a number of regular helpers who appear in a lot of his books, and the Poirot mysteries are spread across about 20 to 30 years. If you read Curtain before reading The Mysterious Affair at Styles, the ending and most of the plot would be difficult to follow and wouldn't have the same emotional effect. They can be read as standalone novels, it just depends on if you prefer to have all of the tiny details or if you aren't too worried about it. Hope you enjoy reading them. There you have it, Reddit users' take on the book, And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Note: books talked about in the video can be accessed through the link on the description below. Thank you for watching till the end. If you loved the video, don't forget to press the like button and also subscribe to I Love Reading. See you on the next video.